Hi, I'm Andree, and I'm going to do a genealogy explanation about the Harada and the Kimura family. I'm sitting here in 2020, in December 25th, Christmas Day, and this is my gift to you. I'm going to start off by saying that I don't have an editing program on my phone, so I'm just going to go straight ahead and go right through it. If it doesn't work, too bad. Okay, so first of all, I just want to go over these things here. And I am doing this video because there are also other videos on Japan Hawaii roots or on YouTube under this link. And you can go and take a look at it if you want to. A lot of my research I did at familysearch.org or at archives.gov. And they were really helpful to me. FamilySearch.org is the same site as Ancestry, except that you don't have to pay for it. Okay, and then these are other things that are associated with me. Japan Hawaii Roots, and my Facebook page, Andree Fallas, or you could go to iDesignsHawaii.com or to JessieJSnyder.com. That's the website that I maintain for my musical artist, Jesse Snyder. He also has a bunch of videos on YouTube at Jesse Snyder Hawaii. So the one that's really entertaining is She Blinded Me with Science. You can go take a look at that. I had help in helping him produce his Muse album, his solo vocal album, Muse, and you can also look that up on his website and on YouTube. Okay, so what I've been doing with this genealogy, Japan Hawaii Roots, is I've been making these books and doing research for Japanese Hawaii families. And this is the Harada Mon, the family crest. Now, there is a biological family crest that belongs to the Nouguchi family, Nouguchi, which the my grandfather came from, Teruji Harada, and also Tadatsuki Kimura also came from the biological Nouguchi family. They were actually brothers. Okay, so more on that later. So the Nouguchi crest is kind of like this. And when I went to the grave site 2.5 years ago, it's on one of the gravestones. And kind of looks like that, but not really again. So my grandfather and great-grandfather came to Hawaii, and they went to Hawaii. And in Hawaii, they established a store and a restaurant that also had rooms upstairs and is currently called the Bamboo Restaurant. Now you can look up Bamboo Restaurant, and there's a story there about the Harada family. You can also look up the Takata store family history, because they were the ones that bought this building in 1926. Now, I think in the early 1900s, like say around 1909, 1910, is when the Harada family bought this store, built it, and developed the store and the restaurant. Now, on the Takata history, it says Hamada family, but that is incorrect, as we know. Oh, so 2.5 years ago, I visited Japan, and I went to the islands Yashima and Heigunjima that are our ancestral home for the family. So I just wanted to show you these things before I get to the chart. Now this is a kakucho, which is a death record of the Harada family. And there's, most of this language is written in temple language, so we can't really read it, the characters. But it's pretty sparse. I had the pages that are printed, translated at the Honolulu Japanese Culture Center, and more on that later. Then when I went to Yashima Island, I took these rocks from the site where my grandfather, Teruji Harada, and grandmother, Hatsuyo Harada, who was originally a Kimura, from the plot of land that's where their house used to be. The plot of land is also next door to one of the temples there. There's two temples on the island, and then that temple is closed. In Japan, most of the records, family records, are at the temples in the city that the family originated from. So then I went to Heigonjima, and these were some shells on the beach. And on the beach were 3 people. The typhoon had just passed, and these 3 people asked who we were looking for, and I told them we were looking for the Nouguchi family. And the woman that was with these 2 gentlemen said that she's part of the Nouguchi family. And I will show you on the chart who she is. Turns out to be like my 3rd cousin, but not from the biological family. Okay, more about that later. Okay, so then these were also leaves from the pine tree and a tree that were by the pier that I also took, confiscated, whatever. Okay, so, and then these are shells from my friend's place in Wakayama. And interestingly enough, his little hotel is called Kimura-ya, which is the Kimura, hotel. So, and these things are from the Butsudan, which is the Japanese family shrine that, it's like a big box that looks like a little miniature temple. And this, it was kept in my Uncle George's house until he passed away. And then somehow my sister got these little death, I don't know, little miniature shrines. The one on the right is for my grandmother, Hatsuyo Harada, and the one on the left is for my grandfather, Teruji Harada. And, the custom is to keep these in the little shrine and then, pray there, for future, health of the family and fortune. So if you wanted to Google Butsudan, that's what these would be in that family shrine. And then these are the little death plates for my great grandparents, Yasujiro Harada and Hana. Let's see, is it Hana? Oh no, these are for Chika. Chika was his wife, and then, well, I'll explain about her later. He also had a second wife Yoshi, who, you know, but I don't know where her little plaque thing is. Okay, so in this book, I have a little map of where they came from. So this is the Seito Inland Sea in Japan, off the coast of Yamaguchi-ken, the prefecture. And this here is Yashima, Ya Island. And then this is Heigunjima. Now, the people on the chart are from these two islands. And it's really kind of cool. You can take a ferry over to the islands. And then on this bigger island here, it's kind of off the map, but there's a Hawaii Japanese Immigration Museum that also has a lot of records on the Japanese that traveled to Hawaii, you know, from the beginning, 1868. Okay, so here is the chart that I worked on for the Nouguchi and Harada families. And the reason why these three family names are linked together is because this is the patriarch of our biological family. And he, I believe, was part of, you know, the court. So he was the samurai class. I don't know what tier of the samurai class he was, but you know, when they only have one name, you know that it was way back there, like in 17th century or something like that. So his oldest son was Isematsu Nouguchi, who is the biological patriarch of the Harada and Kimura boys that were adopted into the family, because Isematsu had 7 sons. Interestingly enough, his wife's name was Tsune Harada, from and I believe they lived on Heigunjima. Okay, so I think, you know, it's the custom in Japan to have boys adopted to families that don't have boys to carry on the family name. And the adoption was, it's not like our classic American adoption where you go from one family and then go to the next one and then you never really talk to, you know, your biological family. But that's, in Japan, that's not what happened. You just would carry on the name, you know, change your name and carry on the name, but you were pretty much connected to your biological family also, especially if you lived on the same island. So Isematsu had 7 sons, and his oldest son was Chokichi. He was married to Hana Tsurue, and then to Tai Nagai, and then his third wife was Tosa Tamura, you know, and then they had their extended family that went, you know, for them. But his last wife had children, and the oldest son was Mitsushige, and he got married to Takeo Yoshinaga. Okay, so he had 3 sons, and his 3 sons are Takashi, Hiroshi, and Tokio. And I got something lost in the translation. And Mitsuharu is the son or the grandson of Mitsushige, but I don't know who the father is. So, but he is, to this day, the biological patriarch of the Nouguchi family. who is, our biological family. And when I was in Japan 2.5 years ago, I actually met him. He met me at the pier on his Yamaha motorcycle. He's a restaurant owner, and he lives in Hofu City in, I think it's still Yamaguchi-ken. Okay, so the other sons of Isematsu were shown here, and these two are the third and the fourth son, Yasujiro Harada and Tadatsuki Kimura. Now they're the great-grandfathers of mine, and this is where the family starts, because these were the two that came to Hawaii to, to live and work. Now, Yasujiro was adopted from the Nouguchi family by Jiro Harada. He was adopted father. Now, I also have, the families of the wives above. So it gets kind of complicated with all the arrows, I know, but let's just follow. Jiro Harada needed a son to carry on his name. So he went to his friend Isematsu Nouguchi, and the third son was assigned to, who lived on Yashima. I guess they didn't have, too much on Yashima because, like today, only about 25 people live on the island. And I do have some pictures, and you can see my journey on that YouTube video that's, under my name, which I'll go over again later. So anyway, Yasujiro was adopted by Jiro Harada, and he went to Hawaii to live in Kohala and establish that, the store and the restaurant that I just showed you the picture in Hawi. And so Yasujiro's first wife was Chika Tsurui. She was also from Yashima. And then she had 2 sons. And the sons were Teruji, my grandfather, and Kozo. Now, Kozo was later on adopted into the Sumida family because he was the second son, yeah? And interestingly enough, when he got married to a girl named Harada. I'm not sure where she was from, but they were married in Kohala, in Hawi, I guess. And then, and they have a daughter named Fumiko. Now, I don't know if her name is Fumiko Sumida or Fumiko Harada, which would be also kind of interesting. I have a feeling it's Sumida, but I haven't been able to find her, on the internet anyway. And then Teruji, okay, well, let's go back to the great-grandfathers. Okay, so Tadatsuki Kimura, who was Yasujiro's brother, he was the 4th son of Nouguchi. He was adopted into the Kimura family by Mio Kimura, who was the matriarch of the Kimura family because her husband Nihei passed away. And she needed someone to carry on the Kimura line name. So she adopted Tadatsuke from the Nouguchi family. And so his name was changed to Kimura. But he was the biological brother of Yasujiro. Okay, so when he came to Hawaii, he married Hana Tokusada. Okay, she Now here's where the little mystery in our family happens. When they got married, she had 5 children already. One was my grandmother, Hatsuyo, and then Harue, Shigeno, Yurio, who my Japanese name, I'm named after her, and Shimeo. And they came or shipped out of Kure, Japan, which is more north. And on census records, it's noted that Taratsuke Kimura was the stepfather, or these 5 were the stepchildren. Okay, so this is also Haruji. He married Margaret Umaki, and so this is where the Uncle Ted and the Aragakis come in, which I'll go over later. But so it's kind of interesting. We're not quite sure that my grandmother and my grandfather were actually first cousins by blood, but in the family they were cousins. Okay, and then it's also listed in following census that Auntie Gladys and Tsuneko and Uncle Albert were also children of Hana Tokutsada and Taratsuki Kimura. And then the first 5 are listed as stepchildren. Okay, then so there were other sons, and I don't know if they got adopted out. But the last son, or actually he was the 7th son, they had a daughter after him, but he also came to Hawaii, and he lived on the Big Island, and with his wife Kuma, and they didn't have any children. So what they did was, her brother took over the family name, the Nouguchi family name, and he had, and I think their son, who also took the name of Sasaki, they had 2, 4, 6, 8 children also. And these are the 8 children. And this last child, Yukio, she was the woman that was on the pier when I went to Heiguhenjima. And she's the one that gave me the koseki, which is the family register of this whole part of this chart. So she's also on that other YouTube video that you can look at. Okay, so because this is about pretty much my grandparents and great-grandparents, I'll just go briefly over Taratsuki Kimura, my great uncle, and also great grandfather too, if you think biologically. So their families spread out to Uncle Albert, which had Hannah and Alan, who I'm still in contact with. And then their family grew that way also. Now our family grew from Yasujiro, okay, hope you're not getting dizzy now, to Teruji, marrying everybody thought his biological cousin, but nonetheless married his cousin. and they had 8 children. And this is where our present family comes into play. Uncle George was the oldest. Auntie Eleanor was the first girl. Uncle Ma, Uncle Ya, Uncle Ia, Uncle Harry, my mom, and Auntie Irene. So, these portions of the chart that are within the pink line are on my side of the family, or my dad's side of the family, to be clearer. And then also my Uncle Mike and his little bit of his wife's family side. And then the rest is, these are my dad's siblings in Japan. So all enclosed in the pink line. And then going down to my Kona's dad's side, the Fallases and the Baronis. Just, because I originally made this chart for him. So, just to digress a little bit, because I'm not going to do a Ikizawa. So isn't this a nice view from my screen porch at my house in Holualoa on the Big Island? Behind there is the ocean, behind that house, but you can't see it because of the fog from the volcano. But I'm not going to do an Ikizawa video. But here is our kakucho for Ikizawa. And I also had this translated at the Japanese Culture Center in Honolulu. And it goes back about 10 generations. So that really helped me. My grandfather gave that to my dad. My grandfather was also a priest, an Episcopal priest. He immigrated to Hawaii as a Christian minister of Japanese descent. And in this prayer book, he's written several prayers and songs, hymns. So my cousin in Japan gave that to me when I went there also. These are the glasses of my grandfather that he wore, and he was one of the 4 Christian priests of Japanese descent that went to internment camp. And these are some of the rocks that he polished, because there was nothing to do at the Santa Fe internment camp. And some of these rocks are in the museum at the Japanese Culture Center in Hawaii, because they, in Honolulu, they asked me to donate those. I donated some other stuff too, but can't remember what it is. And then these are my dad's glasses. And this case was made by my cousin Sachiko in Japan. My dad's older brother's daughter, who I've been in contact with over the years. And her mother was a kimono maker, and she made 4,000 kimonos by hand in her lifetime. Japanese are really good. They keep a record of all of that kind of stuff. So, back to the chart. Uncle George, and I have some little information. And this is my Auntie Fumiko. She was an Okamoto, and she's the sister of Ruth Kimura, that married the youngest son of the Kimuras, of Tadatsuki Kimura. So our family is connected that way also. And then Auntie Eleanor, her son Donald Fitzsimmons was from her first marriage. And then her second partner was Dr. Leslie Luke. And this, my cousins Leslie and Brian. And then their extended families. And then my Uncle Ma and Jamie down there, and I think that's right. If it's not, contact me and let me know. And then Uncle Ya and Clyde and Roy, my cousins, and Christine, who I am still in contact with in Honolulu, and then other people that were involved with my Uncle Ya. Anyway, and then my Uncle Ia, and my cousin Margaret, and her extended family, and then her brothers, Alan, David, and this is where Alicia Fumiko is, pretty much named for our Auntie Fumiko, Uncle George's wife, because for family parties she used to cook awesome stuff. And then John and Peter. And I've been recently connected with Jeremiah, who had open heart surgery just recently. And I'm glad to see he's recovering. And his lady is pregnant right now, so our family will be ever increasing. And then here's my mom and my dad. And then my brother and his extended family. Most live in San Francisco and Santa Cruz area. And I'm glad to be still in touch with them. And then me and my son Kona, and then Wendy and her husband and their extended families, and then Anel and her family. Also, did I show you Auntie Irene's extended family? Uncle Zombie. He was from the Big Island, I found out, from Puna area. And then my cousin Sharon and her husband and their extended families, their 2 girls and grandchildren, and then Stephen. So that's pretty much, I've given this chart to several people, and I know this is a huge version which my friend the printer did for me. I do have a couple of other copies if you're interested. I also have it in the form of, oh my gosh, there's some dogs came into my yard. In the, I also have it in a Excel spreadsheet. Those dogs, those are. And then in this book too that I put together for people, I get records from Ancestry, and here's the story from the Bamboo Restaurant that talks about the Haradas, which is totally untrue. Anyway, and then here's a picture of Auntie Eleanor from her celebration of life. This is pretty much how you get to get the records. And here's my grandfather's birth certificate from the Big Island. It's pretty cool. And then, this is how the Koseki looks. And I got it translated, and cost me, this translation costs you like $11 per person. And as you can see, it was kind of expensive. And then here's some pictures. This is Isematsu's gravestone on Heigunjima. And it's in a really lovely spot, right on a cove, right next to the ocean. And this is my friend Nick talking to the priest's wife at the temple. She was so nice on Yashima. And Yashima is a really beautiful place, too. There's a beautiful cove. The northern part of the island is a nature preserve. So that was a good thing. Alrighty, so I guess that's it. Sorry for the bad videotaping, but you can always call me, or no, text me is better, or go to, you know, these sites and message me, you know, and be sure to look up Jesse's site also, buy his product, you know, his shirts, and then, you know, just email me. I'm going to put this on YouTube and hope you enjoy it.